This is Amateur Logic, episode 135 for October 15th, 2019. This episode of Amateur Logic is brought to you by MFJ, the world leaders in ham radio accessories at mfjenterprises.com, and by ICOM. Make the most out of contest season with the new ICOM transceiver that's best suited for your lifestyle. Welcome to Amateur Logic. I don't know what the episode number is, but apparently it's real funny.
It's the 14th anniversary episode.
Episode 135.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm George.
I'm Tommy.
That's Peter.
I'm Peter.
Who's that?
And Emil.
Yeah, Emil.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, good to see you again, Peter.
Thank you kindly, gentlemen. It's nice to be invited back. How you all been?
We've been good. We've been good. Same old stuff here. What's been going on with you?
Well, I've been playing in the astronomy field a bit, and at the moment, I basically wrote a Python program to find comets in archived images, and I ran that through 24 years worth of archival images for the SOHO telescope and also for the SETI telescopes, which are satellites in orbit. And I found, as you might know, 6 years ago I found one comet, and so far this year I found a further 15.
Wow.
And at the moment, I'm expecting probably to get another 10 confirmed by the finish. So I'm just waiting on the results of the remaining comets that I've reported. So, it's been a pretty successful endeavour.
Wow, Peter, is that a record? Who's got the most?
Well, I would, in terms of what they call sungrazer comets, I would hold the national record now for Australia. So I would have found the most sungrazer comets. The record, there's a chap called Warachat who I don't know what his number is, but he would have literally found hundreds. He's up in Thailand, and he's just continually finding virtually one every day. He's very, very good at it. So
there would have been that many that were visibly, that around.
So can we be expecting episodes of the Comet Hunter coming soon?
No. This is just a little one-off project that I did because I knew that there would be a few unfound comets in these archival images. So, as I say, it's been a quite successful endeavour, and the feedback I've gotten back from NASA, who actually run the program, is that a lot of the comets I've found are what they call non-group comets. And in contrast to most sungrazer comets that skim close to the sun and actually burn up, about 12 of the ones I've found are further out and are unlikely to burn up. And so they're going to whiz around to the solar system until they hit something like the Earth and wipe us all out. So that's the bad news.
Wow.
Always some good news and some bad news.
I do want to mention something I forgot to mention a moment ago. That's anytime we're doing a show live, we're doing what at the same time?
We've got the chat room going here. So if you're watching the live stream and you're not in the chat room, you're missing half the fun. So join us over at amateurlogic.tv/chat.
Okay. And the question is, Emil?
Go ahead, Emil.
Yeah, which half?
Yeah.
That's up to you. You have to log in to find out.
Okay. So, has that been your major? I guess, maybe we call it hobbies. Your interest, has that been the major one
Oh, yes, yes, that is. It sounds very quick and easy, but I can assure you that, notwithstanding that I'd written a program to run that, it's literally been hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of effort to actually get that done. So, but yeah, it's all done now. The next thing I'll be doing is retiring as of March next year. So I've got to make plans for what I'm going to be doing after that.
Wow, retiring.
What's that?
Yeah. What is that? That's something they do in Australia, I guess.
Apparently. We should get that.
Yeah,
up
and
here.
I was fortunate to be in a generous retirement plan that allows me to retire at 55, and it's at the point where it would be ridiculous for me to keep working because I'd be working for nothing. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's you probably made the right choice then, I would say.
Absolutely. So I've got to work out what I'm going to do after that.
And when did you say that comes up?
March the 11th.
March? Oh, wow. Well, congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I only wish it were me.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a mirage somewhere on the horizon.
yeah.
Yeah, a bit like that.
What have you been up to, Mill?
Oh man, well we're enjoying the weather down here. It's been great lately. Very fair, and glad to kind of get past the summer noise of HF on the low bands. So that's kind of what I'll be talking about in my segment this month.
Cool. Yeah, it's I think probably the coolest it's been all season will be in the morning. It's supposed to be around 50 here.
Oh, wow.
Which will be quite different from the way it's been.
Yeah.
For a good
It's a
while.
welcome change. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Tommy, what have you been up to?
Nothing really grand to report. I've been playing around a little bit with my toy that I've shown in my segment coming up, and made a little trip out of town with my wife and son. He was in a competition and stuff, so we went and did that. Didn't kind of pan out like we'd hoped.
Oh boy.
He got hurt while we were gone,
Yeah.
so we've been kind of dealing with that.
Yeah.
But other than that, not too much to report.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it's been 14 years here, and boy, we never would have guessed that at the beginning, but we say that every time we talk about how
But we
long.
mean it every time.
We do. We just mean it 14 times as much
Yeah,
this time.
that's true.
And we'll be giving away the prize package here tonight shortly. Somebody is going to be real happy. And yes, it's going to be the real radio.
Or this one.
This one. You can take your pick. Peter, which one would you rather have? Can you tell?
I think I would rather have the one on your desk.
Yeah.
But the shipping will be so reasonable on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
It certainly is a bit lighter.
Yeah. I don't know if you knew what happened. They were out. They had sold out of 7300s, and we started the contest, and they didn't have any in the warehouse. So we had to revert to a box and put a picture on the front of it and showed that. The rig came in this week, so I'm glad that whoever's going to win, they'll enjoy that radio a lot more than they were going to enjoy this
Unless
box.
they got a lot of loose things laying around the shack. They need
Well, true. There's a lot of storage area.
Need to tidy up.
Yeah.
No, somebody's going to get a nice package to me.
Yeah, really nice.
Very nice.
Well, let's get on into the show here. We've got a good bit of stuff to cover tonight. This came from James Gilmore, and I don't have his call sign here, but I'm pretty sure he's got one. He said, here's what my dad taught me about getting rid of the noise. Emil, this is not the same kind of noise you're going to be talking about later.
Okay.
He's talking about re-radiated EMI from the alternator in your mobile coming through the hood. He said hoods are not RF grounded. They're most likely floating. And his dad told him to take 2 pieces of coax, maybe strip back about 8 to 12 inches of the braid, take it off, and use metal screws to hook it into the body of the car and up to the hood, one on either side. And then the hood will be at the same ground plane as the rest of the vehicle. And that will help keep the noise from your alternator getting back in to your antenna and to your rig. And it'll help with ignition noise as well. And I do this. Actually, if you went and looked at my mobile right now, you'd see that I had done that, put a ground strap across there to the hood. Sometimes it works. Sometimes the noise is coming from some other direction. So it's always a good trip or trick to do there, so you won't have noise when you take your trip. You see how I did that?
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah, you hardly noticed it, did you?
That was pretty smooth.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, James. Tommy, bail us out of this.
Okay, I ended up getting a new toy, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, nice toy.
Yeah, so anyway, I put that together, so let me show you what I got. Today I'm going to try to set up my RigPi station server, or RSS. I got this MFJ part number 1234. Kind of looking forward to this. I'm going to hook it up to my IC7100, and hopefully I'll be able to remote into this when I travel now, going forward. The only thing I've done to mine so far is it's pretty much out of the box. I plugged in the HDMI and a keyboard. I hooked it up and I got it on Wi-Fi. It's not convenient to run network cable over here where I am at the moment, so I'm just going to set it up on Wi-Fi. And I'm remoted in using VNC. Incidentally, VNC and SSH come turned on by default with the default image that you get from MFJ. So let's go ahead and try to get it set up. As you can see, it started up. Mumble came up running, which is the voice server. I'm going to go into the RigPi application and let's take a look and see if we can figure out how to set this thing up. By default, the username is admin, the password is blank. I haven't reset mine yet, but I would suggest changing that. Here's some express setup stuff. So my call is N5ZNO. I'm going to leave that right now. My first name, Tommy, Mississippi. I'm going to have to look that up. And I'll enter my password. There you go. Got my grid square from QRZ. When I put the username and password for QRZ in and hit fill below from the call book, it put all my information in. Except I'd rather this go by Tommy. And I'm going to pick my ICOM 7100 right there. And I'll leave it called that. My port is USB 0. My key port, everything is USB 0 because I've only got the one USB device hooked up to my, so that should be correct. Let's try connect to the radio. See if it works. Congratulations, and that's the frequency that I'm on. So that was very easy. Click OK. See what else we need to set up. Advanced radio. Everything's good. So let's go into the next page. I don't have a rotor and I don't use a keyer. Log designer. So we can go back into this stuff later. This is for your logbook. You can set up macros in here if you want to. System. My IP address. That was way too easy. Tuner. And there is my radio. Now I'm going to reach over here and tune something a little different. Let's see what happens. It does work, so it's communicating, as you can see. Let's try the push to talk and see if it works. It does. It tuned my tuner, and I'm good to go. So that was really very, very easy. Now there's a lot of functions in here. These are our bands. These are the macros that we saw before. We're on 40 meters. Let's go to 20 meters. and you can see it changed to 14,295, and I hear somebody talking over there. I went into Mumble and I needed to configure it. So I went in and checked the configuration. This is all okay. I went and found that there's a default password set up of 7388, and you can change that. I would suggest you do, but for this demonstration, I'm going to leave it alone. I went into my audio configuration. My IC7100 has built-in audio devices, which makes this really easy. So I went into audio in, and I picked USB codec, which is what's in my device, and I picked the hardware device without any conversion, so it's just raw audio from the rig. For the audio out, I did the same thing. Clicked apply down here to save my settings, and then I go back in here. I went ahead and downloaded Plumble for my Android phone, and there's a Mumble client for my iPhone, and I'm gonna go ahead and show that one because I think probably more of you have iPhones than Android phones. If I run the Mumble application that I installed and I go into LAN servers, I can see my local one show up. Just hit that, hit connect, and I put my call sign in here for mine. And I'll put in the password of 7388, which is the default one. Again, change that. When I talk, you can see the lips change color, so it's detecting the audio, and that would go out over the air when I hit the push to talk. So let's go ahead and bring up our browser. There's our rig. If I hit the push to talk, N5ZNO, and that keys up my rig. I realized I did not have any audio coming into my rig. I had to make a few changes on my radio, so I went into the settings, I went into connections. I have the squelch set to off. You can see here I have my output set to AF audio. My AF level for my USB, I went ahead and turned that up to 100. My USB modulation level, when I first set up and I hit the push to talk, I got very little bit of audio going in, very low modulation, so I bumped that up to 100, and now I get basically the same effects that I had with the microphone. So you can see the settings that I've used here. Now that that's fixed, let's go ahead and try a real test. Okay, I went into LAN servers. You see my Rig Pi shows up. If I touch it, it brings up a connect dialog. So I hit connect. I put in my call sign. It's going to ask me for the password. It says it's rejected, so I'm going to put 7388. If this is your first time to use it, you need to go down below and click connect to radio. And I hear the audio coming from my rig. So let's find somebody talking on here. Oops, let's just do this way. So it's working. To open this up to the outside, you're going to have to open some ports. You're going to have to open 80 for the web browser. You're also going to have to open port 64738 for your Mumble client. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you check out the Rig Pi. It's pretty nice. If you have a different kind of rig, you may have to run some audio cables into the audio jacks on the side of the Rig Pi and choose a different audio device, but it looks pretty straightforward to set up. The Icom one makes it super easy, but I don't suspect the other one should be a whole lot of trouble either. You are going to need a little bit of networking knowledge to set up your network and things like that. But there are a lot of resources out there available for you to look things like that up. Check your router manual about opening your ports and things like that. What I would do personally is I have an app for my router, and I can open and close ports with my phone, so I don't like to leave them open. So I'll go on my phone, open up the ones I want to use, and then I'll use my rig when I'm away. And when I finish, I'll close them back just for security's sake. Speaking of security, don't use the default passwords. Go in there where you saw me doing the setup and put your own passwords in there so you won't be open to the world. It's always best to be on the safe side when it comes to security. And I hope you enjoy your Rig Pi. It's a great little device. I'm really looking forward to playing around with mine when I'm traveling, and I'll probably show you some video of that in the future. 73.
So you got a new call sign, AD.
MIN.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you weren't supposed to catch that. I did a click save up there. So anyway, when I was making the video, I didn't save it. But anyway, the steps are all there.
You know, it's pretty neat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really awesome. And using the ICOM radio with the audio devices built in, it was so easy. Like, I could, if I'd had this video to watch, I could have watched it and then went and set it up in maybe 10 minutes, probably.
Yeah.
It was really so easy.
And it works really good, too,
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
it?
nice.
Yeah.
And I had my audio on my rig turned up to 100. Obviously, you're going to need to adjust your audio levels for what you want. You know, don't just jack it all the way up. I only did it because I realized I had no audio the first time I tested it, so I just turned it all the way up just to see if I had some, and then I went back and adjusted the levels after that.
Are you familiar with this device, Peter? Had you seen it yet?
No. First time, but it looks impressive. I must say though about the Raspberry Pi, which model are you using? It looks very, very responsive.
I believe that's a 3 in there. It's the one that came with it.
3B Plus.
I'm sure it's a 3.
Yeah.
It was very snappy.
Yeah. I don't know if they're doing them on the 4s yet. It comes, well, of course, you can buy it pieces and put it together, but it comes as a single unit there. MFJ's packaged it up. Howard Nurse wrote the software for it, and I got to say, it's a great looking user interface. And
wow. Yeah, right.
There's a Pi in there, and then this one has I believe it's 2 boards in addition to the Pi.
Yeah, they're 3 stacked on here.
Yeah.
Including the Pi.
Yeah, and you don't have to get all 3 boards if you don't want them. This one's got, of course, the Pi, and then it's got the audio board and a keyer board.
Keyer. Yeah, everything's all labeled nice and neat. It's pretty sweet. I really like it a lot.
Yeah, you just plug that in.
Quite innovative.
Yeah, and you don't have to have your computer on either. You just hook that to your rig and crank it up, and wow, it works well.
Yeah, software's nice, but just do like I said, and be sure to set your passwords to something else before you leave it open to the world, please.
Yep. Tom, as a matter of fact, I like that so much, and you like it so much too, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I really like it a lot.
What do you say we give away one next month to someone?
Yours?
Not mine. No, we'll get them. We'll get MFJ to send one direct to the winner.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody'd like to have that. I'm sure a lot of people would like to have it.
Well, I'm sure there are too. And since we're about to give this stuff away here a little later in the show, it'd be nice to have something to give away next month too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just in time for Thanksgiving.
Perfect. There's something to be thankful for.
So, if you wanted to win that,
well,
how do you think you'd go about doing that?
Well, just so happen to have the instructions right here.
Now, that's at amateurlogic.tv/contest.
It is.
And it's basically the same rules of the contest that we've been running here. You got to be a licensed U.S. or Canadian amateur radio operator with a U.S. or Canadian shipping address.
Only 1 entry per contestant. Sending more than 1 entry will disqualify the applicant.
And the winner's responsible if there are any taxes incurred.
The winner agrees to use his or her call sign and name in promotional and news items related to the contest.
And the contestants can't be an employee or affiliate of Amateur Logic or MFJ. All you got to do is send us an email to rigpiecontest@amateurlogic.tv. That's rigpiecontest@amateurlogic.tv, and include in there just your call sign only on the subject line. Just your call sign. Then down in the bottom of the message in the body, give us your name, call sign, class of license, and an address. You know, just so we know who the winner is and where to send it. And you can enter any time between now, which is, we're shooting this on October the 11th, and Thursday, November the 14th of 2019. And we'll just do a random drawing, just like we're doing with the contest.
The usual way we do it.
The usual way we do it. Go get all the details at amateurlogic.tv/contest.
It's a great little device. So anyway, get your entry in as soon as possible.
Yep.
How long will it take HR to process my resignation so that I can enter?
Oh, this is like the mafia. You can't quit.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Once you're in the family.
Well, we've got an offer you can't refuse.
Oh, no.
Well, we're going to be back in just a moment because there's a lot more to go yet. Some really interesting things here, and Peter's going to tell us about his recent Hamfest visit.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. After months of extensive development and testing, it's finally here and ready to take remote operation to another level. The new RigPie station server from MFJ and Howard Nurse W6HN is going to change the way you think about getting on the air. Why be bound by the four walls of your ham shack when you can take it with you wherever you go? The MFJ 1234 RigPie lets you operate from anywhere you have an internet connection on your Apple or Android mobile device, iPad, tablet, Kindle, laptop, or desktop computer without additional hardware. Just fire up any web browser and get on the air. RigPie connects to most any transceiver with CAT control. Operate single sideband, CW, AM, FM, digital, or any mode your radio supports. Operate your rotor, CW keying, digital modes, logging, spot monitoring, call book lookups, and more. 32 user-programmable macros let you control the features you want. 2 or more hams from different locations can operate different radios at the same time using a single RigPie. The MFJ 1234 Raspberry Pi's Raspbian operating system comes with many free programs installed, like FT8, RTTY, WSJTX, FLDigi, a word processor, email, and spreadsheet. Plus, thousands of Linux-based programs, including many for ham radio, are available. The RigPie station server is available as separate modules, allowing you to customize it a piece at a time, or get the complete unit with RigPie base, OS firmware, audio board, and CW keyer board. The RigPie audio board connects to your radio and serves send and receive audio to your mobile device, or use it to operate digital modes like FT8 and FLDigi. It includes IQ inputs for use in pen adapters and has built-in isolation transformers for RF and hum-free audio. The keyer board generates perfect Morse code using the popular K1EL WinKeyer chip. Just connect your favorite pedal. Software modules for RigPie will be available on GitHub as a free open-source download, so you can add your own features in the future. Get your MFJ 1234 RigPie today and take your remote operation to the next level. MFJ, the world leaders in ham radio accessories at mfjenterprises.com. Peter, you've been out for a few months since we've really talked with you here, and I know that you had a trip planned to Germany over the summer for us.
Indeed, that's right. And I did a 4-week trip around Europe. Had lunch at the Eiffel Tower, which was great, and went to the Czech Republic, Netherlands, France. Had a great time. But the main reason for going was to go to Friedrichshafen to see what their Hamfest was like. And there was a bit of an eye opener. One of the things that really surprised me was that people talk about Friedrichshafen as being the biggest hamfest in Europe, and whilst there's a lot of representation from other countries, it's still very much a German hamfest. And the other thing is that the people there, the Germans, surprisingly enough, don't speak as much English as people often say they do. So you may find a little difficulties with from a language perspective when you go. But having said that, there's representation from the UK and elsewhere, and it's quite a nice meet. Friedrichshafen's a beautiful city, and now we're just looking at a bit of footage now from which I took whilst I was over there. You've got they've got a big hall which is just outside the airport that you can go to. That's where it's held, and it's very, in a sense, it's very much like most of the larger hamfests, with lots of modern stalls, lots of clubs in particular, a little bit like the ham fair in Japan as well, but also a lot of European exhibitors, a lot of radios that perhaps don't get exhibited so much in the United States or elsewhere, and so. Quite good. And as usual, of course, there's a few sort of like sellers selling second-hand equipment as well as quite a number of modern radios. Of course, you'll need to do some currency conversions as you go along. Convert from your euros into American dollars. But yeah, lots of antennas. And
so you mentioned that they don't speak that much English. How did you handle that?
Well, I'm fortunate that I speak a bit of French and Dutch, although I didn't use it that much there. I didn't. Put it this way, the people that you need to speak to, by that I mean people, let's say at the cafe, for example, or, one good example is actually I was on the train going down to get here, okay, and the chap I was speaking with didn't speak English, okay, but we conversed in French for about half an hour, so that was that's where it's handy to have those extra languages. But no, I didn't really. You won't, unless you want to buy something or you want to inquire about something. It's most of the time there'll be several people at each booth, and somebody will speak a bit of English, so you get by one way or another. But just as I say, there is this, I call a bit of a myth, saying, all the Germans speak perfect English. It's not quite the truth. There's certainly plenty of people that do, but there's also quite a few people that don't. So you've got to keep that in mind. But having said that, the range of equipment is second to none. You'll certainly see a lot of different equipment, particularly European manufacturers. The other thing, by the way, if you are going to Friedrichshafen, which is by, I forget which lake it is, it might be Lake Constance, but it's if you're going there, first of all, I recommend you fly in via Zurich. It's about a 2-hour train trip from Zurich to get around to Friedrichshafen, around the edge of the lake. And you should do what I did, which was to stay in a town called Ravensburg, which is about 10 miles away from Friedrichshafen, and it's quite easily accessible by rail with frequent trains. Ravensburg is a lovely old city, very traditional, not bombed out in the war or anything like that. Beautiful town square. And the particular hotel I stayed at had a picture of Angela Merkel, the president of Germany, in the foyer, and she had apparently actually stayed there at one point in time. So so that was I found that just a nice little place to visit in its own right. But if you like fishing, I think you would enjoy the fishing from the lake. There's also a Zeppelin museum, which I didn't get to see, but that would be also worth checking out when you're there. There's also they also set up a free bus to take you from the main train station out to the back of the airport where this particular exhibit hall is, which is huge, by the way. It's not just a hall; it's really a complex, and there's a few dishes there on the left, and so I think on the left there, what you just passed was actually a lot of kids trying out there's the Swiss, a lot of kids trying out little experiments and things like that. And I've seen that at other ham fairs that I've actually gone to as well.
So how would you compare this to, say, Tokyo Ham Fair?
It's very similar at a certain level, but with more European exhibits and more... What springs to mind immediately, apart from the very, very hot weather in Tokyo, is that they had quite a number of clubs. There was a huge representation from Southeast Asian and Japanese clubs in Tokyo, and plenty of particularly Asian exhibitors. Okay, here you've got more European clubs and more European exhibitors, but you also have the main Japanese ICOM, Yaesu, etc. As well. So you're in a different part of the world. You're going to get different countries being represented. Okay, but I think this is the closest thing you'll get to a pan-European shall we say, ham fest. If you are concerned about the language side of things, you might be better off going to the National Ham Fest, I forget what its name is, in England, and then you won't have any language problems whatsoever. So I'm told that ham fest is pretty big. But this was Japanese Amateur Radio League there, which is great. But it was fun. It was fun meeting a whole lot of people and wandering around, and also taking full advantage of the fact that I'm in southern Germany, which is a beautiful part of the world, and a lot of history. Some positive, some negative, obviously, but just remember, as the people in my part of the world say, and also the British, don't mention the war. But otherwise, yeah, look, people are very, very friendly, helpful. Sometimes because of the language barriers, people can be, the Germans can be a little bit removed. They're nice enough people. It's just the language barrier, which is the difficulty. But those that speak English well tend to be very, very friendly and outgoing, which is good.
Oh, yeah. Looks like a big ham fest there. Did you buy anything?
No, I didn't buy anything, but they certainly had one of the things you'll notice is that they'll often, and it seems to be a European tradition, when you go to the hotels there or to these exhibits, they'll often have little sweets, little lollies for you free of charge. So you go around and you pick up sweets or wherever you go, which is a lot of fun. Quite tasty.
One of your, well, let's say, oh no, that was email. He wants to know if this is where germanium comes from.
Germanium? I suspect not. No, it probably has there's probably another reason why. It's probably named after somebody with the surname German, I suspect. But you probably would find some crystals, some diodes there with germanium, or is it germane? I always never say that right. But anyway, some little crystals for your crystal set with that in them. So
as far as the kits and the projects and things, would you say that they had that familiar German build quality to them, like top-notch, you know, very, very detailed?
Yeah. Anything German is good quality in my books. I can't think of ever having seen a kit or a anything produced that was second-rate. So, yeah, if you're buying anything German, you're buying good quality in my books. I will say this, though, there probably isn't the range of kits that you would find or that come out of America. America, it seems to have a lot of different but certainly lots of equipment, some ex-war stuff as well in amongst all that. So if you know your war equipment, you probably could get some interesting equipment that you probably wouldn't be able to get in America.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, there's some interesting looking devices there. Some of the stuff looks familiar. Some is, well, I hate to use the term, but totally foreign to me.
Well, I think we joked at one point in time that when I did episode 13 that some of the stuff that you were looking at the Hamfest I covered here in Melbourne, you'd actually seen at a previous Hamfest, but you were saying it's the same stuff.
Yeah,
It just shipped around the world looking for a buyer, but. Yeah, so look, I hope this little video at least gives you a flavour. Because I didn't have a cameraman, I couldn't do any interviews, unfortunately. But the particular, what is it? A phone that I filmed this on actually has optical. I'm trying to think what the name of it is, but it smooths out the video, takes out the bumps, which is good. So it actually gave quite a good video of the Hamfest.
Stabilization.
Yeah, optical image stabilization. It's it's quite good. The only unfortunate thing was, as I explained to you, gentlemen, I actually had the footage stored on my phone, and a couple of days later, Xiaomi, which is the phone manufacturer, sent an over-the-air update and bricked my phone, which I was not happy about. Fortunately, I'd uploaded the footage, which you just showed, to Facebook, and so I had a copy there, which I was able to show you today. So it wasn't a total loss. But, look, if you're considering a trip to Europe, see if you can work in a trip to Friedrichshafen. It's a great part of the world to visit. It's a great place to spend a couple of days, and there's plenty of history to look at as well.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a really nice venue. Was it air conditioned?
I believe so, yeah. I can't say I noticed it, but I didn't feel particularly hot in there, so I presume it was. By the way, I just want to give a shout-out to Nigel, GM0MEJ, who I actually corresponded with via Echolink when I was there as well. So, hi there, Nigel. I believe it's air-conditioned, and as I said, there are modern buses free that will take you from the train station to the actual venue, which is a state-of-the-art, just same as in Japan, state-of-the-art modern exhibition hall with there's catering where you can go get a meal and a drink and whatnot. And, just a different experience. You probably won't do it every year, but, I recommend you do it at least once.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of those top Hamfests of the world.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list to do one day.
Yeah, well, I've ticked off Japan, I've ticked off Friedrichshafen, so at some point Dayton will be covered.
That means something different.
Yeah,
here
it's an
in the
interesting
US.
choice of words.
Yeah, you checked off. We would say you checked off, but ticked off.
Okay, no.
Means
ticked off, whatever. Yeah. To go see Dayton, people always talk about it being the biggest Hamfest. Sorry to tell you the truth, guys, but Japan is actually the biggest Hamfest in terms of attendance by a big margin. But I think in other respects, it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest in the world, out at Dayton. So it'd be good to actually see what that's like.
All right, George. Now I'm ticked off.
Yep, I could see it, Emil. I saw it coming.
Sorry, America is number 2.
I don't know.
From here on in, it's going to be Japan first.
And square footage alone, though. Now, I don't know about the new venue, but the old one, when they were at Hara Arena, just the square footage alone of that Hamfest is off the chart.
The new one's pretty big, too.
Well, it is. It is, yeah. Anyway, boy, we appreciate you at least capturing that video before the Chinese bricked your phone. Oh man,
It's all part of the Chinese plot.
wow. That was, I had no idea what the Hamfest looked like, and that gives me a pretty good idea of what to expect if I went over there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty nice.
Yeah, but to be honest, any excuse to get away for a holiday is always good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't
Yep.
argue with that.
So if you're retiring next year, you won't have holidays anymore, will you? It'll just be all one continuous holiday?
No. I probably will do at least some part-time work, but I'm just not sure of the extent or, So I'm still working out how. But I certainly won't be sitting at home doing nothing. I'll might do some study or.
Yeah.
Go do something a bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was certainly interesting. What do you think, Emil? That's a little bigger than say the Hamfest at Rain.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like a lot of interesting booths. I did notice, and I think somebody in the chat room noticed that seems to be a lot more younger involvement. Maybe.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did not notice that. But
Did you find that to be true, Peter?
No. I think most of the major Hamfests these days generally have an area set aside for youth, okay, to encourage youth to experiment with a few different things, a bit of soldering and whatnot. And so that was pretty typical from my perspective. I will say this, though, in terms of Hamfest, my personal favourite is Japan. And the reason it's my favourite is because they work in a little bit of the anime culture. So some of the people actually dress up when they go to as characters. I don't know whether you've seen a little photo that I got of myself with one of the maids in Japan.
Sheila.
That was hilarious. And
I think we call it cosplay here.
Cosplay, yeah. And there's a couple of people that do that. And so there's a little bit of that sort of modern Japanese culture in there, which is a lot of fun. And the Japanese are always very, very friendly, although they don't speak much English at all. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Emil.
The Rain Hamfest is small, but it's fun. It's fun.
Oh, it is. It is.
It's seriously fun.
I bet the crawfish are much better at Rain than they would be in Germany.
Yep.
I have to say, just quickly, probably the friendliest one I've struck so far is Huntsville.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's their claim to fame, friendliest Hamfest in the world.
Yep. Yeah. So, all well worth visiting.
Oh, yeah. Well, Emil, I didn't know. Well, I kind of knew you were into audio with the music and all this kind of stuff, but I did not know that our tastes were aligned when it came to adjusting the audio on your rig.
Yeah, so I got to tell you, this month I wanted to take somewhat of a step back. Been doing a lot of Pi work, and we're just getting past the summer, and it sure is noisy on those lower bands. So I took a step back to my earlier days when I first got my general ticket and just got an HF rig, all excited. And I had some Elmers that taught me how to deal with some of that noise, especially, there's a lot of people close in within a 300-mile range that we kind of rag chew with on the coast down here. And, a few of those guys taught me some tips and tricks on how to beat that noise using the rig's features with sensitivity and the audio, as you are well aware. So it can be used by some new HFers, somebody just getting on HF, or maybe even the winner of the grand prize tonight, who might be a new ham getting into HF. And so here's a tip and trick that I learned from one of my Elmers. Have you ever heard the noise on HF to the point where it just aggravates you? You got to do something about it. And did you know you could use the RF gain and the AF gain to find a sweet spot to help you out with that? Check this out.
It's sort of shaped like a C, a block C, and it's probably 225 feet. Yeah, if you would talking about doing that over here, if I don't miss too much on 160 with a couple guys in the club views. It seems like a couple, 2, 4, 5 months ago, in either CQ or QFT, they showed a fellow that I believe was New Zealand, and he had a full-wave unit, and it was running all over the place. He definitely had a lot of land to put it on. Well, I'm on a third of an acre, and I was happy when I finally figured out how to do this. I got coax going out to 9-to-1 balun, and one side of the balun is...
One of the tricks is to find the sweet spot from your RF gain and your AF gain and your AGC's speed control if you have it. So adjust those three until you find that sweet spot. I like to think of it as the AGC stops pulsing from listening to the signal versus the noise floor, and where I can smooth it out, where the noise basically just disappears, especially with strong signals, which is why I like the AHF part of this. Check it out again.
How's the size of that mountain doing down there? Hurricane flattened it out. If you call a sand dune a mountain, high. Actually, there is a mountain there. It's all debris that straight up after the road. They bulldozed over there from the big wreckage from the hurricane over. Oh, the debris mountain, yeah. It's gone. That mountain's all gone. They're still tearing stuff down here right and left, but it all gets hauled off one load at a time and goes wherever it goes, but they're not keeping it here anymore. All right, good deal. Well, I wish you guys at least a 20-minute delay going across the ferry. That means the money's coming in. WB-20. Roger. That must have played havoc with the oyster reefs down there. I've been waiting for the months to have ours in them so I can start having local oysters again. And we're already there. Seemed like all that fresh water would have killed them off pretty good. Is that you, George? That is. Hello. Yeah, hello, Rob. Hello, George. The M5HHZ. Hello there, Jack. They had a real good crop last year, George.
Why not just use noise reduction? Well, I found that it introduces some pixelization or digital artifacts into the audio, which makes it a little bit harder to understand for me. Also found it reduced the fidelity of what I was listening to, pretty much probably filtering some of the highs and other frequencies. So I mean, in general, this is pretty much for strong signals. It's really to reduce the fatigue of listening to all that noise. There's no need to, especially when you're reg chewing, let's say on the lower bands, and you just want to knock out some of that noise, the most of the noise, and enjoy talking and listening. So 73KE5 QUKR.
Got 2-3 in Beaumont. Let's start with KE5RTI, Benny. WB5RGH, Sam. KA5IQX, Bill. In Bridge City, KB50N,
That is the way to do it. Why sit there and listen to all that noise when you can just turn the RF gain reduce its sensitivity, and it's going to reduce the level coming out of the rig. Crank up your volume a little bit to compensate for that, and you don't have to listen to that constant static.
Just one thing I'll say is that whole segment was shot with the noise reduction, because the rig I have has noise reduction, and the noise blanker even, to get rid of some ignition noise or other things. All that was off.
Yeah.
So there was one of those segments where the noise floor just disappeared, and all I heard was the peaks.
Oh yeah.
And so it's good stuff to know, and that's since if anybody's just getting into HF, you might not think of that. You might think that just slam that sensitivity gain all the way open, otherwise you're not going to hear anybody. Well, that's just not the case especially on the lower bands.
Yeah, you may drop the really weak signals, and you might have to adjust it back when somebody really weak is on. But don't use any more RF gain than you need, and you're not amplifying the noise. It's best if you can kill the noise at the source, which is right there, than to use some kind of filtering or DSP to take it out. Now, I use DSP. I use it judiciously, though, because I found out if you do use too much of it, you call it pixelating, I call it artifacts. You hear it adding its own unfortunate sound to the audio.
Imperfections.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And somebody in the chat room, mentioned it as well. The use of headphones, obviously, like we're doing here, and other things can all help and contribute to that. But man, get that RF gain where it needs. Find that sweet spot.
Yeah, and it also helps, particularly if you're going to be listening for a long time, because otherwise you're going to get fatigued sitting there listening to all that noise when you didn't have to.
Yeah, it really wears on your ears and give you a headache. It does me anyway.
Oh,
me
too.
Listen to it for a while.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you get that noise level down, it sure makes it a lot more pleasurable listening.
Yeah. Well, Emil, you had something you were going to mention tonight.
One of our buddies over at ICOM, Mr. Ray Novak,
Rockin' Ray.
Rockin' Ray posted an article about something he found, and it kind of resonates with my cheapness. He writes, George, I found a flea market LED lighting system for the at-home ham studios. Well, there you go. See, here I am. He found a quiet 12-volt DC power supply, a rig runner, five strands of LEDs, a few power pole connectors to arrange them around his room, and all for under $50. And that's the part that really struck me. Got to hand it to him.
Yeah, I guess Ray has learned a thing or two from you about budgetary compliance. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Good job, Ray.
Yeah, good job, Ray. There's still more to go, and we haven't even talked about giving away that rig.
But you'll have to tell me what it was while we're on break.
Okay.
Heard it, worked it, logged it. It's time to get the transceiver that's best suited for your lifestyle. ICOM offers a variety of high-performance and innovative products. Make the most out of contest season with one of these ICOMs today. IC7610, the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR has the ability to pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The ICOM IC7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of a SDR transceiver. RF direct sampling, 110 RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual Digicel. Or get the IC7300. Changing the way entry-level HF is designed, this high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design will far exceed your expectations. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Keep your competitive edge with faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. ICOM's IC7851 is the pinnacle of HF perfection. Dual receivers, digital IF filters, memory keyer, digital voice recorder, high-resolution Spectrum waterfall display, enhanced PC connectivity, and SD memory card slot. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on all the great ICOM radios.
Thanks, ICOM, for sponsoring Amateur Logic. And, supplying the grand prize will be given away here shortly.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
It's been one of our most excellent sponsors.
Most excellent.
So
One
we
of 'em.
appreciate everything they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, email, while we took that break, I was able to find what I was looking for here. And I think you've got a little bit of explaining to do. I did not realize that you had been perhaps moonlighting.
Uh-oh. Let's see. For me, money is not everything. I was more interested in doing good and helping people. I sure do look like Colonel Sanders there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about fried chicken? Is it?
Yeah, I have no problems with fried chicken.
I'm personally all for it.
It tastes like chicken.
Right. And then, well, then I can understand that. If you really like the chicken, that's okay. But you made an appearance in a movie here, and it's been a good while. This is probably before we knew you. But, you know, the subject of music came up, and I guess maybe this is before you learned to tune it properly and what it was really for. Tell us what this is about. That wardrobe, man.
Wow, that's quite the nylon string guitar there. I'm not sure that's how you're supposed to play it.
Yeah.
It might be upside down, but yeah, I guess this was one of my gigs that got maybe a little out of control.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
it works for you.
It's when you were in college, right?
That's you try certain things out when you're in college,
Yeah. Toga.
Toga. Toga.
Do we have a person to thank for these?
Oh
by any
yeah,
chance?
I think we can thank Mike the E3MIC for bringing these to the light of day.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
I'm sure he had to scour the internet to find those.
Oh yeah, but they were out there, so be careful of what you post on your social media. Even if it was 30 years before the internet. Okay.
Great.
For my segment tonight, you may remember back at Field Day, I had my IC7000 rig.
I remember
And,
it like I was right there.
You were right there.
Yeah.
And I had the SDR play, and I had this little magic box right here, this MFJ SDR transceiver interface that helped me hook all that together and make it work. And so basically I had an SDR there at Field Day, but I had my non-SDR radio. And so I had all the functions. I could point and click on the screen and it tuned my rig there. And, well, let's just take a look at this. I promised that I was going to show you how I did it and the things you'd need to know to set yours up to be able to use those all in conjunction like that. Because I got to tell you, it really made Field Day a breeze. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was nice.
Back in episode 132 of Amateur Logic, Field Day from the South, I showed you what I was using for my ham station there, using an SDR Play Duo and an MFJ 1708B SDR switch. It worked out great. If you have not watched that video yet, I suggest you go back and watch it. Here's a link here. It will show you how I was using this setup. It's kind of necessary to know why you'd want to do the following steps. There are several other pieces that we're going to need besides what you actually saw demonstrated there. Just a couple of software pieces mainly, and one little piece of hardware. My laptop does not have a serial port on it, so I used a serial port adapter that you saw there in the video, and I built my own ICV interface to connect that serial port to my IC7000 rig. I searched around and found a circuit published by G3VGR, and it's a modified version of one that he found from OK2WY. This is a CIV interface for ICOM rigs. You know, normally today you would use a MAX 232 IC to do this, but you can use this little circuit here with just a couple of transistors and do the same thing. While it doesn't exactly meet the RS-232 specifications, it'll work just fine. And I didn't have a MAX 232 in my junk box, but I did have a couple of 2N2222As, and that's what I used. Here it is right here on the breadboard. I just stuck it on there to test out things. I took me a DB9 connector, and I actually soldered some little female headers across the rear there so that I could plug in some test leads and jump it down to the board. Now, the interface I'm going to use is this one. I don't even know what brand this is. I've had it for years. It's a USB to RS-232 adapter. It works well with my laptop, so I know that works. I need to know if this interface is going to work, though, to connect to the ICOM rig. So I'll just plug in the RS-232 adapter here to the laptop and to this interface and test it out. On the other end of the cable here, I've got an adapter right here because this is all a temporary thing for testing. This is just a female mini plug. That's what it takes on the IC7000. It's not a stereo, it's a mono plug. And I've just got an adapter to connect this up. You can see there's not much to it here. It's kind of spread out on the board, but it's just a couple of transistors and about 3 resistors, a couple of diodes, and a capacitor. If all this works out correctly, like I hope it will, then I'm going to try to mount it compact-like into the hood for a DB9 connector. I've got one here, and I've cut a little piece of strip board out that'll just fit inside of there when the connector's installed. And I hope there's enough room on this that I can mount those transistors and the assorted components. I think maybe there'll just be enough for it. And then I'll have the whole thing right here in a DB9 shell, and I can just plug that into the RS-232 interface, and I'm off to the races. And here's the finished product. It is a bit cramped, but I did get it to fit inside the DB9 connector. Now I've just got to hook it up and see if it still works. First thing we should do is go to the search panel on Windows and search for Device Manager. When we find it, we'll look down till we find Ports and drop that down with a little arrow to the left of it and look at what COM ports we have. You'll probably only see one COM port if you've got a single serial port on your computer. In my case, of course, it was the external dongle I plugged in, and that is the A10 USB to serial bridge, and it's chosen COM3. Now, these other ports down here, don't worry about them at the moment. They came from something else. So we just want to find our serial device on the computer and determine what COM port it is. In this case, it is COM3. Now we'll connect our interface to our rig, in my case an IC7000, and we'll use Ham Radio Deluxe or FL Digi or whatever we want, set it up for COM3, and make sure that we've got communications working between our rig and the computer. And I highly recommend that you pull up the documentation for your SDR Uno software and search for the chapter on CAT commands. Here we'll give you all the details you need to know to set it up. Once you have that working, you'll want to grab a couple of software packages. The first one is OmniRig. It's at dxatlas.com/OmniRig. This allows you to send CAT commands to different radios regardless of the actual commands of the radio. This kind of standardizes it into a library that will allow you to talk with almost any program to any rig. You'll also need a virtual serial port driver because there's no real serial port in our SDR Play RSP Duo. This driver will allow us to communicate with the SDR Play using a virtual COM port. This part can be a little confusing, so just try to hang in here and I'll try to make sense out of what's happening. We know there's really only one serial port in this computer, and that is COM3. And we've got it connected to our IC7000 or whatever ham rig we're using. So on OmniRig, I'm going to set up rig 1. I'm going to choose the type of rig I've got, and there's a lot of different choices here, but I am choosing my rig, the IC7000 V2. And we choose the serial port, which is COM3. That's the actual serial port in this computer. And we'll set baud rate, data bits, parity stop bits, all of these other settings as I've got them set here, or to match the settings that are in your rig. If you have trouble communicating, you might drop the baud rate down to something a little bit slower. 19,200 seemed to work fine for me. That's got our HF rig connected to a real serial port. Now we'll need to set up a pair of virtual serial ports that we can use with the SDR Play's SDR Uno software. So I'm creating 2 virtual ports here, or one pair. I'm going to create one on COM6, and the other will be COM4. For rig 2 of OmniRig, I've selected COM4, and I've set the rig type to TS480. The SDR Uno software uses the same CAT commands as Kenwood rigs, and they suggest a TS480 as a good place to start. And I've set up baud rates and such. And that's one of my virtual pair. The other is COM6. COM6 is going to be used with SDR Uno. On the SDR Play RX control window, we choose the Set button, and then we choose the CAT tab. Right here is where we set it to COM6, and we choose a baud rate that matches what we had specified in OmniRig. And we choose Enable and Connect. Now, the rig and SDR Play should track each other. When we change frequency on one, the frequency should change on the other, as well as a few other settings. And that's how it's done. Now, it's going to take you a little experimenting to get this right with your setup, but this is basically what you're going to be doing. Play with the different COM port settings. You'll eventually find the ones that work right for you. Be sure to use your MFJ 1708B SDR transmit receive switch or one of their other TR switches so that you can safely combine both receivers and your transmitter at the same time.
That's how I did it.
That's all you have to say about that, huh?
Pretty much. I could go on, but but why? You know?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That, as far as for field day operations, it was very awesome.
It worked out great. Much smoother than I would have expected. Once I got it going, I didn't have any problems. It just worked.
Yeah, it's cool. I really should set that up on mine.
You should.
Yeah, same here.
You had something to discuss tonight that looked a little dangerous to me.
Yeah, it was a Facebook post. I didn't do an email this time, and it's actually not really 100% amateur radio, but I thought it was kind of fascinating.
Well, it does have radio in it.
It does. This is from this Facebook post from Joe Campbell. He said, "My dad worked at the Oak Ridge National Labs X10 plant for 42 years. If it was radioactive, he worked with it. It found a small bottle with a small shielded bottle inside with a radioactive label on it. Closed it up, moved it to the far corner of the house. I can't blame him for that. He ordered a Geiger counter. The container was safe, an isotope for medical use whose half-life made it dead now. I did find a hot source in the house. The Geiger counter started clicking. It was a small glass vase. It says uranium glass. And he posted this little video here I looked up those little Geiger counters. That's fascinating to me. You can get that for about $35. It's a little kit. They had them on Amazon.
Wow.
But anyway, that's pretty cool. I thought it was fascinating. We have detectors at work. I work at a steel plant, and sometimes people will bring pipe in to recycle it from oil fields, and they'll drop a piece of radioactive material down there to do some testing. And if they bring that stuff in, those things go off, and it's like a big deal. They can't accept it.
Oh,
And
wow.
they're so sensitive that one lady had, I think it's a thyroid test where they make you take that
Right.
pill. And when they drove in, the guy brought her in with him to work one day to do something, to pick something up, and it set the machines off over there. That's how sensitive they are. But anyway, I thought that was pretty fascinating. Almost makes me want to get one of those little kits and put it together and see if there's anything in my house like that.
So what if there wasn't? Would you have to go find something then? So
I could test it?
Yeah.
Or take it out and leave it at work? And
oh yeah,
tell me if
I
it
guess you
actually
can
went
do
on.
that.
Luckily, that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah,
But I thought it was kind of neat, though.
it was. That was kind of neat. Well, I think we have probably put it off as long as we can. Although we've only had this radio, the real radio, sitting here for a few days.
Well, since I'm not eligible to win this one, I can't take it home. Can I take the other one?
You can have this one right here. Oops.
The box.
Sorry. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Maybe we can pack that one in this one and ship it.
I don't know. I think we want a little more packing.
That's what we call the light version of the radio.
Exactly.
Very.
Yeah,
That's if you're into flat Earth ham radio.
yeah. That's a cardboard defined radio.
And
That's
it's 100% recyclable. Made
Yeah.
from recycled
Yep.
material.
And green too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't use much energy at all.
No, that's
Or at
true.
all.
And it's rock solid frequency wise. I mean, I think we had it
It's
here
only got one frequency.
for a month or so. It never drifted whatsoever.
None.
And the screensaver never shut off.
Yeah.
I don't know if you should classify that as rock solid.
Does it generate any heat?
It's box hollow.
Yeah. Well,
Never needs repair.
no, not so far.
Just some tape will take care of it.
Yeah. And if you scratch the display on it, you can just print out another one. Glue it right on there. Well, I guess it's time we get serious. No, that would never happen.
Nah, we'll do the best we can, though.
We really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. It's great.
yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's nice to have also something to bring in and to show you a little bit, which is good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How many mystery guest appearances have we had in 14 years?
That,
I don't know.
I don't know. He may be the first.
But, yeah, look, as I say, it's nice to be invited. Thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. And, anytime you're welcome to drop in, and whether you got something to show or not.
Yeah, it's always good to hear
Oh,
from
that's
you.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Well, what are we giving away?
Well, it's funny you should ask. We're giving away this radio right here, which happens to be an ICOM IC7300 transceiver, courtesy of ICOM America.
And of course, it's a software-defined radio. The first one released by one of the Japanese amateur radio manufacturers. This thing really set the bar way up there for an entry-level rig.
Oh, yeah.
Less than $1,000 now on the street. This is probably the most popular radio out there at the moment.
I would say that's probably very accurate.
Yeah, that's why we had the cardboard model over here, is because they're just flying off the shelves.
Not the cardboard ones,
No,
the real ones.
The real ones. it's got RF direct sampling system in it, great RMDR and phase noise characteristics, built-in spectrum scope, audio scope as well, touchscreen display. Look at the display, you find a signal you want to listen to, just tap it and you're right there, right, Tommy?
Absolutely.
Boy, what built-in?
George,
Yeah.
George, I didn't catch the model number though. What was because there's several different models that Icon make.
Oh, yeah.
Which particular one is this one?
The IC 7300.
Yep.
7300. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. I mean, seriously, it is a great performer in this price category. I don't know of anything else that really comes close. And it's a real-time spectrum scope, too. I mean, the signals you're seeing are in sync. It's not like it samples and then displays something. No, it's full time.
Yeah. When you get used to using that spectrum scope on there, man, you just want to punch the screen on the other ones that don't.
Well, you saw after using one, all the trouble I had to go through for field day since I didn't have an IC 7300. Yet, once you've used something like that, hard to go back. Built-in and automatic antenna tuner, SD memory card slot for voice and data storage. Does all the traditional modes you'd look for in an HF radio. Of course, covers 6 meters as well. And it's got the USB port on the back, so you can interface it just like you did
To your Rig Pi.
to your Rig Pi or whatever you want to get audio in and out of it, control.
Yeah, you can do your digital modes without having to have another interface box.
Yeah. So.
And I presume you can use Ham Radio Deluxe with it.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Probably most any of the software packages support it. And being that it's software-defined radio, they release firmware updates for it occasionally to add new features or, improve performance. So, like I say, it's really been a game changer when it comes to software-defined radio.
It really hurt my feelings to have to give mine back.
Well, it did too, and it wasn't really yours, but
No.
it wasn't really mine either. We got to use some the first year that they were out for field day and made believers out of us.
Yep.
Also, we're going to need an antenna to go with that. And what would you recommend?
Well, based off of my field day experience over the last few years, I would recommend the MFJ 1836H cobweb antenna. That's a great performer, and it takes up a fairly small amount of space considering.
And this is the 6-band model, covers 20, 17, 15, 12, 10, and 6 meters. There's also a model that adds 40 meters to it. It's a full half-wave cobweb antenna, great for restricted spaces and portable operation. Really, this thing had outstanding performance.
It did. It really surprised me how well it worked. I made actually every contact I made at field days the last couple of years were on it.
Yeah, needs no radials, and it even works great at low heights. Low in cost, big on performance. This is another one of those things that's hard to beat. If you've got a small area or you need an antenna that's fairly portable, easy to put up, this is the one right here, the MFJ 1835 cobweb, 1836H cobweb.
Yeah, that's better.
That's better. That's the actual number for it. The number has changed since I made this video. This is the first one. The one we're giving away is actually the high power model of this.
Oh, okay.
So it's a great antenna.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to need a power supply to go with that too, Tommy. And is there anything you could recommend?
Well, this is a pretty nice one I got sitting here in front of me on the table.
Well, that's mine. I'm keeping it.
Well, how about one like it?
Okay.
An MFJ 4230 DMP, 12 volt and 30 amp power supply. Another one courtesy of MFJ Enterprises.
Yeah, and it's mighty light too.
It is.
And compact portable. We've used those at field day for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I've got the analog version of it.
Yep.
Very nice little supply, and it literally is mighty light.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it packs 30 amps too. That's all you need for a 100 watt HF rig.
Yep.
Also, you might, the rig comes with a hand mic, naturally, but you might want to, say, an upgrade. You might want to use this on your desk and want a desk mic, Emil. Wouldn't that be maybe a good thing?
I mean, especially one from Heil,
Yeah.
If something
like that one.
If somebody had one they wanted to give away with it.
How about a Heil ICM microphone, the new BK version? This is, or BG? Maybe that's what it is. Let me see. Yeah. I don't have it written down. I think it's
this one right here.
It's the brand new model. It's instead of gray, this one is black with a gold windscreen on it. It's got the built-in push-to-talk button, so you can key it right here. Or it's got the connector already installed, so it fits ICOM rigs. There's also a connector right here where you can plug in a foot switch or a hand trigger or whatever you want to use for push-to-talk with it. And this is a special electric microphone Heil's designed just for use with ICOM rigs. It's got a little more output than a standard microphone, so it matches up good with ICOM
Yeah,
radios.
it's a good looking mic too.
It is. Boy, classic. And what else? We still
Well,
hadn't hooked this thing
Well,
up.
we got a radio. We've got a power supply. We've got an antenna sitting out in the yard. We really need to connect the two.
That's
So
a good
what
idea.
about 100 feet of coax?
Like
RG8X, courtesy of MFJ Enterprises as well. Oops, sorry, that
Okay.
was kind of loud, wasn't it?
now that sounds like a good deal to me. 100 feet ought to reach.
And this is not the actual coax. So
No, and that's not nearly 100 feet
and it's
either.
not nearly RG8X either.
No,
But you'll get the real deal.
you will. And you might, I don't know, you might want to know what time it is.
Yeah, or you may want to
Yeah.
get reminded of the ID every 10 minutes.
If you act now, we're going to
wait.
throw in, this MFJ 148 RC radio controlled clock. It shows,
But wait, there's more.
yeah, two
Steak
displays.
knives?
Huh?
Steak knives?
No steak knives.
Oh.
But we'll talk to Martin and see. Maybe. There, two simultaneous displays on it. I set one for my local time, Central Time here, and you can display 12 or 24 hours on it. As a matter of fact, there's a switch right there.
Yep. Got a switch for
Yep.
daylight savings time.
Switch to cover daylight savings time. And on the other side, I put UTC because that's the two times I'm interested in being a ham.
That's how I have mine set.
It's got the WWV receiver built into it, so it automatically adjusts the time itself. Built-in backlight, so you can see it in the dark. And there's a 10-minute ID timer on it, so it'll send you a little beep every 10 minutes to let you know it's time to identify.
And it's right on the money too, every 10 minutes.
It is right on the money. So,
Yeah, it's great. I like mine too. It's big enough I don't have to put my glasses on to see what time it is.
yep. And to enter the contest, we were just asking that you were, you're licensed. We didn't say what class. Well, if you win this rig, you're going to want at least a general class license.
Definitely.
If you got a general already, you might want to upgrade to extra.
Yeah. What if I'm already an extra?
Well, you might just want to, say, give a technician book to someone to help them get started. And there's no better books to study for your ham exam. You see how I did that, wasn't that?
That was a really smooth transition
Yeah.
right there.
Our friend Gordo, WB6NOA, writes the best ham radio study guides here for the United States. He's got general class, technician class, extra class, whatever license you're studying for. Gordo covers it in detail here. All the questions in the pool, and these are up to date. As a matter of fact, this one is pretty much brand new right here.
Yeah.
They've just released a new general pool.
And they're not just the questions and the answers. There's
No.
a good explanation for each one of them in there.
Yep. And Gordo, color pictures, drawings, good details and extra tips so that you won't only know the answer, you'll know why that's the answer.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Yep.
Without a doubt, the best amateur radio study material that's out there. We highly recommend Gordon West Amateur Radio Study Guides from our friends at w5yi.org.
Yep. Thanks to those guys for providing those.
Oh, yeah. They have a number of other books, though, that I did not realize they were the publishers.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about some of those in the future because I think you'll like some of them.
Awesome.
And one final deal to sweeten the pot here, Tommy.
Wait, Emil, but wait, there's more.
Yep. You know, Tommy, I have the issue that my PL259s on that coax don't match the windscreen on my microphone.
But we've got some color coordinated ones here.
Boy, we do,
If we
don't
could
we?
get them out from behind the guests there.
That's just like a perfect match, isn't it?
Perfect. We'll throw in a pair of those too.
That's the Amateur Logic commemorative faux gold. Yep.
Really not recommended to run RF through those though.
No, but they're nice to look
And they're
at.
stylish.
They are very stylish. You might want to make a nose ring out of one.
Possibly. I hear people do that.
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I'm still
Well,
waiting.
it seems like a good idea.
At least it did at the time anyway.
Yeah, at the time. Could be
All right.
painful.
So what more could you want? You know, the whole rig there, from plugging it in the wall to hooking it to the antenna and grabbing the mic and talking. Everything.
That's the
you
full
need.
package.
That is the full deal. I guess we're going to have to give it away. And right before the show tonight, we drew a random number.
Wait, I can pull the name out of the hat.
You can?
Yeah, that's it.
You got the hat's right there. Okay. Yep. Oh. Well, that's a random entry right there.
Yeah, I just so happen to have a random entry.
So who is going to be this year's lucky winner?
The lucky winner, as soon as I put my spectacles on, Earl Griffith, WA4KBT. He's an amateur extra, and he's from the great state of Tennessee. So
Okay.
congratulations, Earl.
Congratulations.
WA4KBT.
We'll be getting in touch with you right away and be shipping this out to you. I know you're going to enjoy it. And hey, email, he's probably close enough. Once he puts up that antenna, we can talk to him.
Yep. Sounds like it.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's exciting. He's going to have fun time Thanksgiving. I don't know if he's retired or works or whatever, but
Yeah.
he's off for Thanksgiving and have a lot of fun
Yep.
during the break.
Yeah, you're going to like that, Earl. And thanks to everyone who entered the contest.
And thanks to the great sponsors, MFJ,
Heil Sound.
ICOM America, and
And,
W5YI,
Yep. And
Gordon
Gordo.
West.
Yep. And the Chinese for the connectors. Well, I don't know if they're really sponsors, but we
Yeah, I'm not sure you really consider those real connectors. They're almost like faux connectors too.
well, yeah. So anyway, wow. Well, that was a lot of fun, and you know, for the last several years, these sponsors have contributed to this prize for our anniversary special,
Yep.
and we really appreciate them and all they do.
But if you didn't win this contest, we
You
just
could
moved
win
right
another.
into another contest. So don't forget about the Rig Pod contest that's going on at the same time.
Yep. If you go to amateurlogic.tv/contest, you could win an MFJ 1234 Rig Pie.
Rig Pie.
Rig Pie.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a short contest here. There's only a month to enter. You've got to have your entry in by, when did I say,
November the 14th.
So get them in right away. You only enter once, and we'll be awarding this to someone next month.
Yep.
If Earl's lucky, he could win this too and operate his rig remotely.
That would be pretty cool. It would be quite the coincidence.
It would be.
But he's certainly qualified.
Well, he is. Yeah. We read the qualifications earlier, so, amateurlogic.tv/contest. Get the details right there. Well, let's see. A couple of more things we want to talk about here. I know, Email, you were wanting to do a contest yourself. We were talking about that. Seems like I noticed you raised eyebrows there.
We did?
Yeah. Thanks to Email, I don't know if we can do this, Email, but it would make a nice cheap old contest. It is.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Big League bait casting line.
Big League bait casting line to get your antenna wire up, and of course your antenna clothesline.
A good set of rabbit ears.
Good set of rabbit ear antennas. A pair of 600 ohm headphones, which will match good to that surplus rig there that I can't even identify. And hopefully it'll run off 12 volts because we've got a genuine used computer power supply right there to power it with. And there's also a handy flight case for packing it.
Yeah.
And taking it to your next event.
And for putting your extra shoes in.
And if you'd like to win that, you probably need to get in contact with Emil or maybe VE3MIC.
Yeah.
He might know something about this.
He may know a little bit about it. That's pretty awesome.
Part of that contest is that you're going to be stranded on that island.
Yeah.
Iota, whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't look like a bad place.
No. Unfortunately, there's no microphone or key, so you won't be able to communicate with anyone, but you can listen.
Well, that's half the battle.
It's probably in the case.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was nice was the look on your face when you said you were doing a contest.
I am?
Yeah. No, really, that is a faux contest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, nobody took that serious.
You know, Tommy, we don't have any photos here this month from viewers. But we have a swag store.
We do have a swag store.
And you can get all your great Amateur Logic swag right there. It's not just T-shirts and hats anymore.
No?
We've also now got the mugs. AmateurLogic.tv.
Yeah.
Coffee mug or Ham College.
Or both.
Or both. It's either left-handed or right-handed. So there's that.
Yeah. We've got caps, ball caps, backpacks, jackets. I don't even remember all the stuff I put on there. We've got some Ham College swag on there as well. So if you, a lot of the viewers that watch Amateur Logic watch Ham College as well. So we've got Ham College VE shirts on there. So that was by request.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Anode Rules ball caps.
Yep.
On there.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to get you one of those.
Probably so. Probably so.
So anyway, some of the stuff that you guys have given us ideas for or submitted requests, we've finally got around to putting those on the store. So
did you get my request for the pre-dog chewed ones?
No, we were going to run those through you though, so that you could
just send them over.
For an extra fee, if you want something like that, just have it drop shipped to Emil.
Yeah.
But anyway, amateurlogic.spreadshirt.com and check that out. There's a lot of cool new stuff on there.
And you mentioned the different products that we have. This is one that was introduced last month right here, and it's already hit the magazines. They jumped right on it.
I'm not surprised. It's bleeding edge stuff.
Yeah. High Tech Times called it Best New Product of the Year. It's the Amateur Logic Cranial Cooler. You might remember last month. This is the hat that Mike designed for us. It has the little fan on the front of it and the solar cell mounted on the back. And it really helps out at field day just to keep a cool breeze, to blow that sweat right in your eyes. So
it's awesome. It actually was a functional cap. It was very cool.
it actually works. Yeah, it does work. So, Mike, I don't know where you come up with this stuff from, but I think you hit a winner there. Even, a comment I made about it during last month's show kind of caught the attention of Popular Science.
Oh, that's you can backfeed into the sun.
Right, recharging the sun. I reckon that if you held that thing up in a wind, it could recharge the sun using reverse osmosis on that photocell.
What? Oh, my.
Right away, 2 magazines picked up on the story there. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's the early bird gets the worm on stuff like that. So the first one with the news.
And I noticed Peter's wondering, what the heck. There is really such a thing. Mike made one.
If you hadn't watched last month's show, watch it. There's a commercial on there for it.
Yeah.
I've got some big news here from here in Australia. The amateur radio license condition, which is a thing called the LCD, has been changed by an omnibus amendment, Instrument 2019 number 1, with immediate effect. And these are big changes here in Australia. To briefly summarise, number 1, all restrictions on emission modes have been removed for all licensees. So you can use any emission mode you like, right? Restrictions on permitted transmission bandwidths have been removed for all licensees, with the exception of the 2200 metre and 630 metre bands, which only advanced licensees can use. There's been we've lost, I think, about 25 megahertz on the 3 gigahertz band, but that's not huge. And all licensee classes now have the same spectral power density limits of 1 watt per 100 kilohertz for wide bandwidth transmissions. Now, I should stress there that there are no band changes or changes to power limits. Now, to cut a long story short, what this means is, fundamentally, is that foundation licensees, the lowest class in Australia, can now use digital modes, and that's huge because they'll now be able to go and play with things like FT8, SSTV, and so on and so forth. And so, I encourage the everybody to go out and check the Wireless Institute's website, have a look at the new rules, and take advantage of what is, shall we say, a relaxation of the rules around amateur radio here in Australia.
Yeah, you guys have been ahead of us several years with your foundation licenses. We're discussing a similar class here in the U.S. these days now.
Yeah. I would, my personal view on, shall we say, the digital, being able to use the digital modes is that, I think it's a great thing. I think it's what young licensees want to do with amateur radio. So I would encourage the American authorities, and when they're considering introducing this license, to actually from day one give the licensees the ability to use digital modes, because I think that'll be a great encouragement for young people to get involved in the hobby.
If you want to catch up with us during the month, where can you do that?
Well, we're on. You caught me off guard because I was looking to see if the guy that won the stuff was in the chat room. Facebook.com/group/amateurlogic.tv.
You can follow us on Twitter at Amateur Logic.
And we also have a new groups group.
Groups.io group.
Yeah. Amateur Logic. It's groups.io/G/Amateur Logic. That was by popular request.
Yeah. And we post before each episode on there and a little in advance so that you know, hey, if you want to watch live, you can catch it at this time. Before we get out of here, let's just go around the horn. Tommy, any final thoughts for our audience tonight?
No, it's been a fun show. It's been a fun 14 years, and I appreciate all you guys that I don't want to say worked, but had a good time with for the last 14 years in some part, and looking forward to a lot more. And congrats to Earl, the winner of the contest this time.
And his call sign again?
Whiskey Alpha 4 Kilo Bravo Tango.
Well, I'll ditto everything Tommy said. Emil, any final thoughts from you tonight?
Well, great to see Peter, and keep up the great work on the comets, buddy. I think you might save the planet one day.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. One of those comets could well, if you where they work out its orbit, could well come very close to Australia, to the world, and it could be useful actually knowing of its existence. You might be able to do something about it in advance. So you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And congrats to the winner, and thanks to all the sponsors and you guys. Where would we be without you guys and Jimmy and kickstarting this thing? So thanks, guys.
Peter, thanks for joining us to celebrate tonight, 14 years. Wow. And you were here for a lot of them.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, it was I've moved on to other things, okay, but I'm always happy to drop by occasionally and say hello.
Thanks for being here, man, and do join in again sometime. Anytime you want to, you got an open invitation, and we'll make a point to reach out to you every now and then to find out what's been going on down there, because who knows, we might need that common information really, really seriously here.
Yeah, if you get any inside scoop on that, be sure to let us know first.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to fill you in very quickly on that, I'm waiting on some confirmation of some further comments, but after that, that's basically it. That'll be. I don't see myself as having a continuing role in astronomy. It was just a little area that I was dabbling in for a little while. So, but I might move on to getting back into ham radio a bit more and concentrating on some sort of ham radio related projects. We'll see what we can come up with.
Well, it's all fun, isn't it?
Yes.
Speaking of fun, George, not to be selfish or anything, but at least if we had some more, 1 or 2 or 3 people doing some segments and providing some things, then maybe Mike VV3MIC could have some other footage of other people.
Even if you don't know how to play the guitar or hold it,
Sure.
No, Mike's going to be with us again soon here. I can tell you he's working on something. Who knows?
He's always working on something.
Yeah.
Which I always look forward to seeing what he comes up with.
Yep. Thanks for being here, everyone. We really appreciate you sticking with us 14 years. And who knows, maybe another 14.
I hope so.
I hope so. By then, as well, I won't go into the whole ZZ Top thing. We've already been over that before.
We've done that.
All right. 7-3, everyone, and just again.
Yep, 73s.
73, everybody. Good night.
7-3.
Good night.